Alright, what's going on YouTube? Another round of 64 series from Hidden Cup for qualifiers. This time we have an Eastern showdown over here. Chart, potentially the best Japanese player out there versus Dragonstar, the best Indian player out there. Dragonstar also a very experienced deathmatch player. This should be an interesting one. I think seedings are relatively close to each other. I wouldn't be able to estimate it, but I would estimate something like 26-7 versus 30-something-ish. That's something I'm estimating. I think Chart is the higher rated player because he has had a little bit more accomplishments in 1v1. In fact, his breakout tournaments was King of Desert 3, where he upset, I think, multiple people. So that was the breakout tournament for Chart. If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I am right about that. But there has been so many series I've been casting that I'm starting to confuse players now, which feels bad. Alright, so here is the map draft. Dragonstar is banning slope-speaking islands and hideout. It's actually hidut, according to this script, but it's hideout, of course. Banning cross is Chart. Bay and Gold Rush will be his picks. Global bans will be Lithuanians. This is one of the rare occasions where we're seeing Lithuanians banned. Chinese will be Dragonstar's bans, and it looks like each player just snipes the opponent's first pick. Vikings and Italians were the picks of each player. Italians definitely for islands. No idea about Vikings, but Vikings could be good for islands, but it could have been Japanese as well later on. So it is not guaranteed that Vikings was a designated water civ or designated civ for islands. I think we have islands, right? Yeah, we have. So no surprise about that one. Anyways, Huns, Japanese, Slavs, Portuguese, Tatars, Vietnamese for Chart, Mongols, Aztecs, Mayans, Celts, Franks, and Teutons for Dragonstar. Teutons is a pretty rare pick, I would say, in this tournament, because the maps are usually quite open. The exception, sort of, is Hideout, and Teutons could be a very nice civilization for Hideout. I would think something like Portuguese versus something on islands. That's going to be an interesting one. Dragonstar doesn't really have a clear water civ now. He's got a lot of good land civs, however. Mayans could be a very good civilization for Arabia, Teutons for Hideout. He could play Franks on Gold Rush, although I think Gold Rush could be Celts or Mayans as well. Could be Mongols, maybe. I think Mongols will be Bay, though. So you do Mongols on Bay, and then you spread out the rest. But I am not sure what he's planning on islands. The closest that I could give him there is probably Celts. It kind of has to be. Otherwise, you might need to use, like, the alternative would be to use Mongols, which would be kind of wasteful islands. So, yeah, Dragonstar apparently missing out on the water civs out there. I think that Chart has a little bit more balanced draft over here. The Vietnamese pick at the end is interesting. I'm curious what Chart has on his mind with that. But without further ado, we will jump into the first game over here. We will have a wonderful teal color here on the right side for Dragonstar. And we will have blue for Chart in left. So Huns, interestingly, on Arabia, something that I didn't really expect. Huns versus Franks. Coming in here, Franks is a very standard pick. It has been one of the most picked civilizations for Arabia in this tournament. Huns is pretty unconventional though, mainly because it is just so good on other maps, like, for example, Cross. It can be used for other hybrid maps as well. So, but it's mainly used for Cross. In fact, it's very frequently sniped because it's so good for Cross. I don't remember if the maps actually have Cross in them. Let me check over here. No, Cross is banned, so that basically means that Huns over here wouldn't be really useful or that's super amazing elsewhere. Obviously, Huns is still a very strong civ, and I think what I love about Huns on this map is that they are super versatile. So they can play very good cavalry, they can play very good archers, whereas Franks are a little bit more one-dimensional, as we will have what appears to be a forward coming in here from Dragonstar. So what do I predict about this game? I think early game should be in the favor of Chart, because that's the standard way of things. He's the more skilled 1v1 player, as look at those romantic barracks. That's beautiful. That's just beautiful, and that's a very fast feudal, by the way. 20 pop, forward barracks, and he might just deny the opponent's barracks over here. Oh, those barracks! Look at that! And it's gonna be cancelled. So early game should be in the favor of Chart. As I'm saying this, Chart loses the first Voyager over here, and it's a Spear and Skirm forward. Something that is not unprecedented in 1v1s. Holy smokes, look at that aggression from Dragonstar. Look at that, how is he even able to afford this? I have no idea. But it spears, skirms, and potentially even scouts as well. Now the dangerous thing about this one is that if you leave your base this undefended, Chart could just counterattack and finish you off, and that's something that is always worth keeping in mind, that right now you have absolutely no defense back at home because you have all your production buildings over here. Kinda seems like a low elo game right now, just making all the possible production buildings right after another. But anyways, what I want to say that is that in a very, very long game, I would prefer Dragonstar over Chart, because Dragonstar, with the deathmatch experience he has, he is definitely one of the better players when it comes to like late game grindy scenarios. But early game, I would potentially prefer Chart. As I said, he surprised a lot of people with his performance in King of the Desert 3. And here come the scouts. Archers will be mixed in as well. And Chart is forced to go for skirms. I would like to point out that Chart doesn't have a reliable gold income here. In fact, he's got no gold income, which means that he can make one archer before he runs out of gold. And that's some very, very nice macro over there from Dragonstar. I don't think that Chart was actually prepared for this aggro play here. And as I said, I think Chart is the higher seeded player. So maybe Dragonstar feels like, okay, he needs to be a little more unconventional if he wants to win. And boy, oh boy, he is playing unconventional, that's for sure. Now, the real question is, as I said, that yeah, this forward is nice over here. However, can you actually sustain good production over here? Because if you can't, you will just fall behind in military numbers. And you will have your original base completely undefended. Now the Voyagers are taking down the Spearman over here. And as I said, that seems like a cleanup over here from Chart. He seems to have weathered the storm. And from now on, you just need to make sure that those Voyagers can't reach the skirmishers. And slowly you can grind down their health. I feel like Chart has survived the worst. And the thing is that if these buildings... like, these buildings will pretty much be useless once counterattacks from Chart actually start hitting the base of Dragonstar. Dragonstar also had a couple of Voyagers over here with food on them. I think he is trying to save those. Even if he just runs back home with them, that would be important because he needs that food that's on those Voyagers. He's trying to hold out over here, but I feel like the skirmisher defense here from Chart is enough because this forward is very, very heavy on the eco of Dragonstar. So spears, skirms, scouts is not something that you can sustain very, very easily. And you see that there is barely any scouts here for Dragonstar. Now getting a couple more out over here, but as long as there is spearmen on the field, they will just finish off those scouts. And once again, that scout is actually still alive. And now the skirmishers are just getting taken down by the scouts. This is so messy. It is all about micro right now. If you can pick off the spears and keep your scouts alive, you can kill these skirms. Other side, if you can pick off these scouts with your spearmen, then you're just gonna be able to finish this one off here. And it seems like Dragonstar knows that this aggression here is pretty much lost. The question now is how is he going to proceed as he's getting housed here for a moment. He's going to be able to get the Voyagers back home, and if all goes well, indeed, these Voyagers are still carrying quite a lot of food. So 21, 27, 30, and 31. This is basically 100 food carried by these Voyagers, and it's extremely important that they actually survive this encounter. Now, if you are Chart, you could even make a case for trying to wall in some of these buildings here. Because the thing is that this is the entire production of Dragonstar. So if you wall this one in, Dragonstar will not be able to get any military on the field, and you will just completely destroy his base. And now it seems like Dragonstar is trying to transition this into pure scouts play, and honestly, he could hit the eco of Chart over here. There is at least one skirm here, but we could wait for another skirm to pick off the spearman that's coming his way. The problem that he's facing now is that Chart is going into his base over here, and I wonder how Dragonstar is going to defend against the push with absolutely no military back at home. What you see over here is this is the exact reason why forward bases like this are pretty uncommon nowadays in high-level games. Basically, you don't have any defense back at home in case you get counterattacked. There is free spearman over here that should be enough to fight against this many scouts over here, even though that's quite a lot of scouts, but eventually Chart is going to bring in his own scouts here as well, and now gets a gold mine up for himself. Still, in terms of Voyager count, after all this carnage, at the end of the day, Dragonstar has killed one villager and Charton lost one. However, there is a considerable amount of difference in the TC idle times, 221 compared to 41 seconds, which means that Chart has a much more efficient eco. So it is 38 villagers against 34, which is absolute dream for Chart over here. And now Dragonstar scouts are also going down. And the only thing I don't like for Chart's position is that, as I said, he doesn't have horse color, so these farms aren't really great. But now he's got skirms out here, Dragonstar is down to 4 army, and eventually scouts will arrive too. And that's some very weak scouts over there, so they will not really do much. In fact, they will just get picked off by the skirmishers most likely, and now the scouts are here as well. So I don't see this one happening for Dragonstar. He tried something wacky, something weird and unconventional, but it didn't really work out for him over here. And now he's losing villager after villager. As I said, it's 14 villager against 5, and Chart's eco is looking much better. In fact, he's still floating wood, so if he actually sold that, this would be a completely different scenario. And now Chart is going to try to just wall himself up over here. There will be a counter-attack coming in, but I feel like there is just not enough meat in Dragonstar's eco to sustain a production on all these buildings. And if it's just scouts, Chart is able to defend against that one with Spearman. That being said, that's quite a lot of scouts over there, so Chart could lose a couple of villagers over here. Indeed, he loses one, but in exchange he lost a villager over here, and it's still 5-2 in terms of villager KD. And eventually, this massive eco advantage is going to start showing. And so Dragonstar is kind of forced to take some very bad engagements, and even more importantly, as I said, here's the big fight. Scouts getting some hits on top of those skirmishers, but there is still Spearman around. A little bit of a miss micro over here from Chart. He had these units on stand ground and didn't attack, so it wasn't perfect, but he's still cleaning up the scouts here. And in the meanwhile, this is also sort of a cleanup as well. As I said, I could have understood if he was in some of these buildings, just to make sure that his opponent isn't able to harass him. You could also make a case for a defensive tower here for Chart, because all of these buildings are here, but a defensive tower would pretty much mean that both Spearmen and Skirms would be pretty much useless for Dragonstar over there. Now it's Bloodlines time, and once Bloodlines starts kicking in for those scouts, the Spearmen that Dragonstar is making are going to be no longer good enough to deal with those scouts. In fact, we will see a prolonged feudal age engagement, as we'll have a double stable scouts from Chart, who's looping all the way around with the scouts. And the thing is that with Bloodline scouts, he's gonna be able to do a lot of damage on those villagers on the wood lines. It's 45-38 villagers right now, and indeed, now the Bloodline scouts will hit, and it's much harder to kill the scouts with Bloodlines than without. Forging would be a very useful upgrade as well right now for Chart, but I feel like at this point, he's completely okay trading off scouts to villagers. A lot of these villagers are low HP or borderline about to die. That being said, this wasn't as good for Chart as it could have been. Many villagers are damaged and weak, but at the end of the day, there wasn't really a lot of villagers killed. But look at that, there is more coming. There is more coming, and these villagers will just get intercepted here very easily. There's +1 defense, which could make sense, but honestly I feel like +1 attack is better over here, because you want to kill villagers, you want to kill spearmen, and there isn't really a lot of archers that you're up against. And the skirmishers won't do much damage either with or without +1 defense. Dragonstar is now trying to get to +1 defense for himself as well, as that is going to be another villager that bites the dust. He's trying in this one, but it seems somewhat impossible for him, as there's a tower, at least Dragonstar attempted a tower here, that will have to be cancelled because Chart is also making his defensive tower over here as well. There is no Bloodlines on those Frankish scouts, but they do have the extra HP. Still, this is actually an interesting debate all the time, that in early feudal, the Frankish scouts are better, but in late feudal, once Bloodlines kicks in, the other scouts are better as well. So it is really debatable if the Frankish HP bonus on the scouts actually is giving you 9 extra HP, or it's taking away 11 HP. Because it depends on which stage of the game you're asking. Anyways, Dragonstar tried something very aggressive, and for a moment it seemed like it was good, but then Chart was able to weather the storm, and his eco eventually emerged as a superior. The counterattacks were nice from Chart, but I feel like the main thing was that Dragonstar was just unable to sustain production. So At the end, Chart only killed 7 villagers and he lost 2, so it's not like that was an enormous lead. The main lead comes from the fact that Dragonstar at 427 TCI at all time, and that is associated with the fact that he had a triple forward building scenario over here, which means that he was barely able to produce villagers on his TC most likely. I assume he prioritized military and he kind of went for an early feudal all-in, but that didn't work out. Chart takes game number 1, and that means that we are going to Dragonstar's home map. Huns is in the hands of Chart. Dragonstar loses Franks over here, and we will go into islands or hideouts. So notice that Dragonstar has been picking maps that are either closed or they are, you know, isolated, for example, like islands. So he prefers to play closed maps or maps where early feudal age aggression isn't really that much of a thing to his eco, which is a pretty standard way of playing when you are the underdog in a series. So we are gonna have Mongols for Dragonstar. This is what I was trying to say, that I don't think that Mongols is a good civ for islands. In fact, it's a good civ because you can get for fast feudal going for yourself. However, I would like to add that Mongols would have been much better used on other maps. Like, for example, it's one of the top tier civilizations still for Bay, and Dragonstar is actually going to do something that is pretty rare nowadays, luring in the boar with his own scout. Now, the thing is that that boar is very far out, and the thing is that he needs loom to get that boar, and that's an extremely unfortunate boar spawn, by the way, for Dragonstar, who has kind of a Black Forest-like map. Look at all the vulnerability here. So even if he gets landed, it's almost impossible for his opponent to do any damage to him because these woodlands are completely surrounding him. But it also meant that that boar was on the other side of the forest. I think this was the original plan, so it wasn't just a reaction to the fact that the boar was far away. He actually wanted to bring in that boar with a scout anyways. So the trade-off that you're taking over here is that you lose 20 HP on your scout, so in case you get landed, you have a weaker scout. But if you don't get landed, you actually save a lot of villager time because the villager doesn't have to walk all the way around. In this case, you don't even have to get loom to get that boar, which would have been necessary otherwise, because this is way too long for a no loom villager to walk around being chased by a boar. And with Mongols, I guess Dragonstar is playing for a very fast feudal over here. With Mongols, which is understandable. As you see, he tried to bring in the boar as soon as it was possible to be done. And that's basically the reason why I picked Mongols here. Mongols is a very good early aggressive water civ because you have a very fast feudal, but I feel like you are pretty much throwing away the land element of the Mongol army, and I think, oh, that's so bad. That was very unlucky for Dragonstar that the boar just decided to go to the other way. That hurts so bad for him. Anyways, so I feel like you're kind of just throwing away the land component of your army if you're picking Mongols here. As I said, it's a tough situation for Dragonstar because he didn't have any other good civs for islands. But depending on what he wants to do, I don't know what he's up to. He could be thinking about landing. And truth being told, he's not adding any fish. Whereas his opponent is dropping the first house over there. Are we gonna have fish? Yeah, here's the lady, and that's a back dock. That kind of makes me feel like there could be a landing involved here for Dragonstar with a back dock. Because the thing is that Mongols, as I said, capitalize on their fast feudal. If you do want to capitalize on that to go for fire ships, you go for the front dock. And if this is a landing, I sort of like and dislike Mongols at the same time. The thing is that I still believe that Mongols would have been much better for Bay. However, and you could have used something else as a landing safe here, but one thing that Mongols could give you is once again a super aggro, very fast feudal age landing that could potentially knock Chart off really early on. So that's something that has to be considered. Just as much as in the previous game, Dragonstar went for a 20 pop feudal age forward push. He could try something like that here as well. This time supplemented by the fact that Mongols have a crazy food eco at the beginning of the game. So that could be something that is getting considered over here for Dragonstar. Chart is, by the way, playing Portuguese, as most of the people would have expected. And he's going to have a front dock over here. I think he's just preparing for a standard galley rush. That's like very standard. Or, well, fire galleys, of course, because this is a front dock scenario. And look at that feudal. This is what I was referring to. This is actually a very fast feudal if you consider the fact that your opponent is just making his second fishing ship. This is a super fast feudal on islands. The question is, what is Dragonstar up to? He's very heavy on wood, and that is pretty common if you're trying to go for transports, because you will need the buildings, and you will also need to buy a transport ship for yourself. But no. More voyagers on wood. What is happening here for Dragonstar? I don't necessarily see the point. He just wants to play fast feudal, but maybe galleys? Like, with back dock, you don't do fire galleys. It makes zero sense to go for back dock and then just go fire galleys, because you're trying to build on your fast feudal here, and not necessarily the best way to do that is by having a back dock here. Now, a fast feudal galley play could actually make sense for Dragonstar, because you need to have a couple of galleys out in order to be able to efficiently fight against fire ships. Are we sure there is no transport? Yeah, we're sure. We're sure there is no transport, but there is only one dock as well. So if this wanted to be a galley play, then this would be... Oh, there is the second dock. So this is going to be a galley play, but that's actually a very, very late second dock over here for Dragonstar. Probably because his build was pretty tight. He wasn't able to afford it earlier. Idea would have been to go for that dock earlier, but as I said, I don't think that he was able to afford it. And now it's fire galleys. But if it's fire galleys, why back dock? By the time you have your fire galleys out, your opponent is going to have his own fire galleys as well, so I don't really see the point of this one. If this was galleys, I would say it's a good idea, because the thing is, as... I apologize, I had to run away from the computer for a moment, so I had to pause the game, but you missed nothing over here, so we'll continue. And basically... Now it's galleys, and I'm starting to understand the concept. It's actually a good idea, because what you are trying to build upon here with Mongols is that you will have a faster feudal age, and you will have back docks, so you have plenty of time to mass galleys, instead of, you know, just trying to fight right away with the fire galleys. And I think that Chart knows this, because he's opening galleys right away on the front, which is something unconventional. Now the thing is that obviously... In the long run, the Portuguese galleys will be way better than the galleys from the Mongols. Not in feudal age, but once we get into castle age, even when you get the unique tech for Portuguese, the castle age unique tech will give 1 extra pierce armor, and even feudal age, if you think about the fact that they will have a slightly higher HP, I don't think that's a decisive advantage for Portuguese, but it's a nice little bonus to have. That being said, Dragonstar is chasing down the fishing ships over here with a single fire galley. Those will be repositioned, and that's going to be a fast ballistics coming in from both players for fletching. This is a very, very tight build for Dragonstar, so I'm still not convinced, but you see that he's trying to experiment with some new things over here, so we'll see if that works out for him. He still has quite a lot of herdables beneath his TC, which is something that is worth monitoring. So, did push in all of his deer, did take his huntables, but that's a lot of T-saddle time once again for him, so he's already behind by 2 Voyagers. So he's trying to play super aggro. The problem is, as that is a nice move, he's dragging away the galleys to the left with the fire galley and moves in with the galleys from the right, and if you can actually kill the fishing eco, you can compensate for your weaker land eco over here. There is still a 2 eco deficit for Dragonstar over here. However, at the end of the day, we're gonna have the fishing eco of Chart running for its life, and Dragonstar, pretty confident push over here in the middle, and we have a 8 versus 7 galley situation, but more importantly, Chart is just getting fletching. So the thing here still is that I'm not sure which direction this is going for Dragonstar, because eventually Mongols will not be able to sustain a good landing or water engagement against Portuguese. You can take good fights, but is that going to be enough? It is debatable. Now, that is going to be at least 1 Voyager killed, potentially a second one as well. Lady's gonna have to juke some arrows, and she will. So, one guy that bites dust over here, and now Dragonstar actually has the eco lead by a small margin, but here's the deal. It's 10 versus 10 ships over here. Portuguese have more HP on there, and the thing is that even trades aren't really sufficient over here for Dragonstar, because as I said, I feel like Portuguese will just be better on water overall, and now it is more fishing ships. I think this is just the 2 starting fishing ships though for for chart, so he didn't add more, but he preserved 2 from Dark Age. Anyways, as I said, I just don't know which direction this is heading for Dragonstar over here, as the galleys will sail in from the other side. They could actually intercept the fishing ships, which would be a perfect scenario for the Dragonstar, though. In fact, what he's trying to focus on is trying to isolate 1 or 2 galleys and finish them off quickly, because one way to kind of get an edge in water fights like this is isolating 1 or 2 galleys and taking them down quickly, so that you will have the temporary advantage in the fights where all of the ships are present. And one thing that I would like to point out is that Dragonstar has a very, very consistent galley production here, so that's something that I want to give a shout out about. Now, the thing is that we also have a pretty consistent galley production for chart as well. Both players have a pretty similar TC idle time over here. But once again, look at this, Dragonstar. Intercepting these reinforcements are so important because you lower the opponent's galley numbers with that very easily without basically losing any HP on your galleys. So these seem like small things, but being able to get an edge like 19 versus 16 galleys is exactly what you're looking for. Now the thing is that it looks like we'll have a chart trying to push through over here with his entire fleet. Dragonstar will try to hold this one off, and he might even sandwich that navy in between his 2 fleets. So that would be definitely possible. It's 1080 HP on these ships over here, as opposed to this 1700. So many of these ships are already damaged for chart, as the fleet is coming from the back as well. Overall, if you combine Dragonstar's ships, they add up for 1926 HP versus 1560. So this is actually a better situation for Dragonstar. It's not just the galley numbers, it's the overall health as well is much better. And now he's intercepting this fleet. I think Chart is doing the right thing, trying to escape this position over here. Dragonstar didn't really bother trying to block the escape here, but still, that's sort of a win for Dragonstar, who has a 4 Voyagers lead now, to be honest. Gets a market up, and I think he will probably sell his stone to go up, which is, I think, completely something that I can justify. And his food eco seemed like it was a little bit better. I think that food eco difference is mainly coming from the fact that he has had his fishing ships working the whole time. It was only 2 fishing ships, but they never stopped working. In fact, they were always efficient because the docks were spread out enough to make all the deep fish around efficient. As indeed, Dragonstar sold his stone to go up. So the thing is that Chart had to run away with his fishing ships for a moment. He lost his fishing ships at the end, and it actually adds up. It's not really a huge effect on your eco, but that's exactly the food difference that we're seeing for the 2 players. Plus the fact that Chart will probably try to sell his stone as well, but he's gonna have to work with weaker market prices than his opponent had to. So it is already a win sort of from Dragonstar that he sold his stone earlier than his opponent did. And I think, yeah, Chart is gonna have to buy some food as well over here with gold, selling his stone. But if we would actually get back in the logs, he's getting 87.85, so that means that Dragonstar got 89.91, if I'm not mistaken, for the gold or for the stone that he sold. It's not a huge difference, but as we have discussed in many pro games, small differences like this could actually matter at the end. Now he's trying to preserve this fleet over here because one thing that the Chart really wants to achieve right now in this one is being able to finish off this fleet before it's actually upgraded to War Galleys. You don't even necessarily need War Galley, you are fine with Botkin already, and you can take this fight well. And now Dragonstar is running away, but there is going to be 20 seconds to 120 type of scenario over here in terms of castlage timing, which means that Dragonstar is going to have plenty of time to turn back and engage this one, and Chart should soon try to disengage this. Indeed, he's still chasing, but that could be punished pretty easily because Vorgali and Botkin actually research pretty fast over here. So by the time, indeed, he's going to turn back, and now he's going to take this fight. That's actually really sloppy from Chart. I don't think that Chart was paying attention to this screen, because the movement kind of felt like he just realized, oh shoot, I'm actually chasing an army that's already in Castle Age. So, more galleys are coming out here from Chart, but he is down to 17 against 22, and now these are War Galleys. Soon he's gonna get War Galley as well for himself, and remember that the extra HP is still going to be there. Only free on food now for Dragonstar though, so the TC idle time will keep increasing in the long run. There is a demo? No demo. It would be beautiful if Dragonstar had a demo here and he could just unpop it and sink that entire navy. Now, it seems like his fishing eco may absolutely be destroyed here by these galleys if they spot it, as Dragonstar is going to be soon up against galleys with Botkin, or war galleys now with Botkin. Indeed, fishing ships go down over here pretty easily, but ballistics is already coming in here for Dragonstar, and that means that his galleys will still be able to take much more efficient engagements overall. Fast ballistics will be the case as well for Chart, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Portuguese have the Civ bonus of being able to research technologies faster, right? So that could actually help a little bit over here for Chart. Anyways, it's 2 TCs for Dragonstar. I'm not sure what he is thinking, but 5 farmers for 2 TCs is by far not sufficient, so might as well play with 1 TC if you ask me. Unless you're willing to buy a lot of food. It seems like Chart is trying to assemble one huge fleet over here, and truth being told, now the war guy numbers are getting closer and closer. It seems like Dragons are just trying to destroy the docks here, which could be helpful because it seems like Chart will just pretty much lose his production that way, so it's not like he's building new docks elsewhere, and in many cases destroying these docks won't really do much for you. In this case, that is absolutely not true, and indeed, that seems like a very, very fast ballistics, so I assume that I was right about Portuguese researching techs a little faster. In the meanwhile, Dragonstar is also losing his docks over here, so it's docks versus docks. The difference is that I think that Chart is going to be able to take a good engagement over here. The overall health of these ships is also much better for Dragonstar, so once again, he should have the upper hand in that aspect. Both players now with ballistics. And Chart now rebuilding his docks over here, one at the back, one on the front. And in the meanwhile, both players have absolutely miserable food income. Look at that, 2 and 5 on the food respectively. So both players are going to rise in terms of peace idle time quite considerably. So now Dragonstar will try to prevent his dock from going down over here, but it seems it might be possible. 6 versus 8 war galleys might be able to edge this fight over here out. Remember, it's 150 HP on these and 135 on Dragonstar's war galleys, but he's able to intercept some ships like this, and it's 27 versus 23 in terms of ship counts, and once again, it seems like Chart is just sailing all the way around, but if Dragonstar notices that, he might be able to just sandwich this navy in between 2 of his fleets and absolutely smash it himself. Now this is a bad fight over here for Dragonstar, gets another war galley out, but these ships should also engage, because right now, Dragonstar is taking a very, very bad engagement. He's waiting for more ships to arrive, probably from here as well, as he's getting TC number 3 up once again. 4 Voyagers on full and you want 3 TCs. I'm not sure what the point of that is. Look at this, Chart has 3 on food, Dragonstar has 4. Majestic economies. Now, here is the entire fleet of Chart combined, accounting for 17 war galleys with relatively decent health. Against them is only 12 war galleys here, plus quite a lot coming from the other side as well. This is a good enough engagement, I would say, for Dragonstar. 906 HP versus 618. Many of these ships are weak, the stronger ones are on the other side. But as I said, this fleet could completely get sandwiched in between 2 fleets here, and Dragonstar could very well annihilate this navy now. He loses 1 dock in the process, and he's down to 2, so he's not rebuilding anywhere else right now. But here's the moment where he can clean that one up. And it seems like he also left a couple of war galleys over here to clean up the docks of his opponent. Chart is remassing a fleet at the back of his island. And now it seems like Chart is planning a breakout here. Dragonstar will try to hold them as long as possible for his fleet to catch up. For now, there is no careening on either side, which means that the pierce armor of these war galleys are still completely identical. That's going to be interesting to keep monitoring. Obviously, the extra pierce armor from the Portuguese unique tech could be something to think about as well, but there is no castles right now, so that's going to be just in the distant future. Anyways, right now it is 65 eco against 52, so Dragonstar does have a pretty convincing lead in that aspect. But now he is losing his docks over here, and he's down to very, very few docks. In fact, he's got just 2 docks. One of them is already in the flames, which means that eventually he's gonna have a tough time replenishing his navy. I think he wants to take 1 decisive engagement, though here is careening. And the thing is that now I think Chart will have to turn back. He knows that he cannot really take this fight, and this fight is a little too early for Dragonstar because he wanted careening to hit when this fight is actually happening, but it might be just in time, and he's actually doing a very, very nice job finishing off these ships. And now indeed Chart is going to have to run here, and he is going to lose his entire fleet in the process. So with that, it's 18 ships against 14, so it's still pretty close. One of the reasons why is because Dragonstar is just making ships on one dock. There is absolutely no more ships for him, trying to redock here on the front now. But one thing that I would like to keep in mind is that Boso will be coming in first of all for Dragonstar, which is a very, very important upgrade for such a map where you're using so much wood to make ships. And also careening is already in for Dragonstar, so you see the extra Pierce armor on those war galleys. That sort of compensates for the extra health that the Portuguese war galleys have on them. And we shouldn't underestimate the fact that Dragonstar also has 75 villagers compared to 58. Dragonstar had an awful lot of TC at a time, but that is because he was on free TCs for a long time and he wasn't really able to sustain production on all of them. He's getting a monk out right now to pick up the relics, something that Chart hasn't been doing, and Chart has been playing 1 TC the whole time, and now that the food eco for the Dragonstar is starting to rise, he's going to be able to just outboom his opponent over here. That being said, because Chart's food eco isn't really great, he's not able to just go for like a fast 1 TC Imperial. If he had a good food eco, like a couple of fishing ships left whatsoever, he could just go for a 1 TC Imp and bint his opponent with Imperial Age units. But in this case, Dragonstar has even war galley numbers, but more importantly, Dragonstar is a much more reliable boom. 3 TCs, now with 20 Voyagers on food, should be relatively sustainable. Whereas his opponent is like 9 on food, which is barely enough to keep that TC working, and he will just fall behind more and more in terms of villager numbers. And so, war galleys on the way here. We're gonna have a big clash now. Both players do have a careening, and no longer it is worth microing these units, to be honest, because both players do have ballistics, although you will still attempt a little bit of juking around with that war galley to drag away the fire of your opponent. It's 2000 HP versus 1300, so Chart should be winning this one pretty convincingly, yet he's the one that initiates the withdrawal. Still, Dragonstar's fleet has been pretty battered over here, but there is a transport ship on the way for Dragonstar, so we might see potentially a stable being dropped over here, or no, that's gonna be a castle. The question is, where are you making that castle? Are you playing for a long game and making the castle on this island or this island? I don't think you are, because you don't want a post-imperial water fight against Portuguese. I think what you want is a castle here. That's what I'm saying. With careening, you can fit in 10 villagers. So this is the moment where you actually just go to the opponent's island, drop the castle, because take a look at Chart's island. There's absolutely no defense there. If a castle goes up there, Mangudai will just absolutely overrun everything, and here is the castle. I wonder if Chart knows about that. He does not, and that's actually important, because he doesn't know about that, he's not going to try and, you know, dive in and snipe stuff over there as well. Now Dragonstar starts to realize, hey, there is ships coming from the other side as well, but look at that. This is what I was talking about. If Chart knew about that castle, he would actually send in his ships over here because he knows that he has to stop that. If that castle goes up, that's basically GG here, to be honest. Because that wood line is gonna get denied. Imperial Age is even coming in here for Dragonstar, so that alone would be able to potentially decide the game. But that castle is crazy. There is a counter castle coming in, but now Dragonstar can just get a couple of Mangudai on the field and start running around. If you put one Mangudai here, one Mangudai on this gold mine, as Chart is running out of this gold pretty rapidly, then you will have all of the resources from your opponent denied, basically. And another castle is coming in for Dragonstar. Do you know where you put it? You put it here. You put it on the other gold mine. That's not a castle. That's not a castle for Dragonstar. There's no way. Oh, he doesn't know about the other castle. Yeah, he immediately cancels it, and he needs to drop it over here. Because if he drops it over here, now he lost most of his Voyagers, but there is Mangudai around. So that was a little sloppy. But if you drop that castle over here, now it's an absolute mess as he's trying to run through. If you would drop that castle over there, you would deny that gold mine forever. Still, it seems like we might just see a castle somewhere around over here, right on the wood line. Because that would be an also reasonable position. I don't know what those villagers are up to, but there is definitely enough stone for Dragonstar to drop a castle. But I feel like the decisive factor here is going to be that Dragonstar's food eco is a lot more well-developed. And that basically means, as the Mangudai is sailing away to get a couple of fights over here against the Organgans, that Mangudai micro was a little bit sloppy over there, but there is the Siege Workshop. Organgans are now out, but as I said, since Dragonstar is a lot more developed food eco, he was able to go into Imperial a lot easier. and he will be able to start thriving buildings down here in a matter of moments. Even if these villagers are lost, it doesn't matter, because there's still a 17 villagers lead for Dragonstar. He's got Mangonite out. Remember, he's got Ballistics, so these guys are actually pretty well upgraded. They have Botkin, they have Ballistics, no Bloodlines, no Husbandry, no Tumbling, but it's still pretty decent Mangonite already. And especially when your opponent doesn't have a lot of army, or he has like a slow-moving defense force like those Organ Guns, you can just keep running around and hit villager after villager, and the idle time that's going to be forced on Chart's eco is going to be crazy. And upon reaching Imperial Age, Chart realizes that his opponent is going to be far ahead. Dragonstar evens this out, and I was doubting Mongols on islands, and I'm still not a fan of that, but I have to say that Dragonstar has used this civilization really well on this map. So even though I'm not a fan of the civilization pick itself, I feel like the use of this civilization for this map was actually pretty nice from Dragonstar. Had some very, very nice galley micro. And yeah, I feel like he just transitioned to the next stage of the game much, much cleaner. So he was able to go for a free TC play, whereas his opponent is playing on 1 TC, and eventually the extra food eco propelled him to a massive, massive, massive advantage going into Imperial. Anyways, that leaves us with the first home map coming in here from Chart, and that is going to be Bay. So, as I said, I felt like Bay was the map where I assumed that Mongols will be picked, but apparently I was wrong, and we will have Chart playing on the right side as Japanese in blue. On the left side, we will have Celts for Dragonstar in teal. And taking a quick look at the maps of the players, the gold is on the front for Dragonstar, which isn't really great. The thing is that Celts are actually pretty decent for this map as well, because at the end of the day, your lumberjacking bonus helps with the early fireship fights, and you can also go for sort of a Hoang type strategy on land as well. We will see what Dragonstar has on his mind. Men-at-Arms opening are not impossible either. Other side, Men-at-Arms openings should be relatively viable as well for Chart as well over here, as we do have the dock coming in here for both players. 6 on wood even for Dragonstar. What is he up to here? Especially with Celts, that's a lot of villagers on wood already. For him, getting the fishing ships out early is Dragonstar. And it looks like Chart might actually try harassing those fishing ships with his scout, and that's an early barracks. That's why he was so heavy on wood. I was thinking about something like that. That if you're that heavy on wood, you're doing something more than actual just fire galleys over here. The barracks is up, and Chart took a quite significant beating on that scout over here. In fact, he's at 3 HP, and that's gonna be poked down by the militia. And it seems like we're gonna have a Drush, and I think it's gonna be a combination of men-at-arms and fire ships. It is even feudal age for both players, but Dragonstar is not going to be playing double dock fire galleys. What he's going to be playing is men-at-arms and fire galleys to that one, or potentially not even fire galleys, just men-at-arms. Now we'll see if there is a follow-up to that from Dragonstar, because that is always questionable. Because right now, oh, he gets in here. That's so crucial. Now, the third man-at-arms isn't actually getting in, but still 2 man-at-arms are inside. And it's already an achievement, because you could potentially deny re-rolling like that over there. Or you could potentially harass the opponent's gold mine. Or if... oh, Chart didn't notice. I'm not sure what Chart was paying attention to. Maybe he was looking at the fire galley micro, but he didn't notice the man-at-arms running past the TC over there. And that means that there's 3 man-at-arms inside your eco. And it's going to be pretty painful to deal with. You have to make your barracks, you have to make your archery range. It's going to take some time until you can actually deal with those, and pulse-side walls do go down really fast nowadays. Still, Dragonstar is going to lose his fishing eco over here pretty easily, but now we're going to have double range archers with a blacksmith. So he wants to transition this into full-on land engagement. And pulse-side foundations have also been nerfed, so it is actually pretty easy to bash your way through those, and I think that is going to go down over here, or at least it's going to be awfully close. Nope, the wall goes up for Chart. Dragonstar is really trying to get some value for his man-at-arms over here, but so far he has been unable to. Chart will soon get his archers out on the field. 1 or 2 archers may not be enough though, as it seems like the walls will still stand, because the thing is that Celtic men-at-arms are actually faster than archers, so they can chase down one or two of them. Still, if you are actually microing it well, so like Chart is actually using those archers over here, and just making sure that the men-at-arms run into the TC fighter in case they want to chase them down, you should have no trouble cleaning those up. Dragonstar apparently capitalizing on the early pressure and the fact that he knows that he probably has map control because his opponent is defending within his own base as the walls were broken through and one villager may actually meet its maker. So, because of that, he's able to take the hunt, and the way that he's compensating for a lack of fishing eco is by adding hunt. Right now, he's 5 villagers behind, but indeed, a bit of an extra hunt could actually compensate a tiny bit for Dragonstar. Plus, you also have to add the fact that he's got a persistent wood bonus, which is also something that helps immensely. Not sure if this was the original plan for Dragonstar, or he just adapted to what civilization his opponent was up against. And look at this. Look at this. The men-at-arms will be able to drag away the archers here, but the idea here I think that Dragonstar wants to play is that he wants to bring in these archers to deal with these villagers on the berries. A lot of villagers on the berries right now for a Chart. And in the meanwhile, Dragonstar's food eco isn't looking great anymore, so he's running out of hunt, or at least he ran out of these ibises. Now it's going for the deer over here. Oftentimes we have seen this from players, that they're trying to compensate the loss of water by getting some fish in. And honestly, if Dragonstar started moving with those archers earlier, he could have killed a lot more villagers here, I think. It seems like Chart also wants to go for the hunt over here, as he loses one archer and potentially one spearman to the archers over here. Another archer is out. Fletching is in as well for Dragonstar, so he's going to force a lot of idle time on these villagers, but it seems like these villas will be able to escape. Men-at-arms are still roaming around, and you can see that they just outrun archers. The archers can't catch them. Fast blacksmith over here for Chart, but without that, he's not going to be able to really take these fights over here, and he is getting pushed away from his wood line. He still has a 7 villagers lead, but does that matter when he is having 9 idle villagers? It does not. That's the thing. So, the idle time that's forced on Chart, 20 minutes over 6 minutes from his opponent, is massively compensating Dragonstar for loss of water. This is a very, very aggressive aggro play, and so far, Dragonstar has been just playing full aggro plays in all of the games. Didn't work out in the first one, but now he's getting very good value for those archers, and especially once the fish starts to run out, this is gonna get more and more problematic for Chart, because, yeah, the fishing eco helps you quite a bit, but you can compensate for a lack of fishing eco if you're a Dragonstar with the extra hunt, and if you actually keep killing villagers, suddenly your opponent could be in trouble. And also, because Dragonstar didn't invest into any navy, that is all in archers. And also keep in mind that he also has probably a lot more wood in the bank and overall better wood income because he's Celts over Japanese. But free fire galleys are worth about, what, 6, 7, 8 archers? And that's the difference that you're seeing on the field. So, by the time Chart reacted to his opponent being aggressive on land, it was a little too late, and it's actually 6 villagers killed over 3, and Dragonstar, buying himself up, he also sold 100 stone. I wonder if he's going to sell the other 100 as well, and he wants to go for an early castle age here with crossbows. His opponent isn't that far behind either, but Dragonstar should have no trouble getting up to a decent castle age time, and I would think that Chart is going to be at least half a minute behind. And do you know what Celts can do with that many crossbows and siege weapons? They can do mangonels and crossbows, something that was pretty much the go-to play for Celts until Arabia was a more open map in map gen or like ranked maps. Now they made Arabia a little more open on ranked, so Drush FC crossbow into mangonel isn't that common now. Drush FC still occur, but basically before Arabia was made a little more open, Drush FC crossbow into mangonel was just so standard for Celts. And now look at what Dragonstar is doing. He's actually dragging away the skirmishers to the north with his army, but he already has another army coming in here for him, and he could hit this wood line. And remember, he's a very, very good deathmatch player, which means that he's pretty decent at controlling multiple groups of units, and that's something that you're seeing over here. He's dragging away the entire army of Chart. The ideal scenario here for him would be to wait until he reaches castle and gets crossbow to do even more damage. Now he's losing some archers over here as the army numbers equalize, but it's still 6 archers, 6 skirms, and 3 fire ships against 16 archers, and that's another villager going down here from Chart. More importantly, a very, very massive wood eco he's gonna have. Look at this. he's gonna have to reposition this wood line to back here. Now he's gonna have to move all these walls to this wood line. And at the end of the day, the castle age is gonna be better for Dragonstar by about a minute. He can get 2 more Voyagers out during that time, so he would be like 2 Voyagers behind, but his castle age push is something I really like. And oh, that's so sloppy though from Dragonstar. He's gonna have a stable out, so the knight might save the day, but that's very sloppy. That siege workshop might actually go denied here. Archers are coming from the other direction, so they might be able to save the day or the knight. Still, this is a very, very good position for Dragonstar, and after the first game's sort of disaster, he is in a very, very good position here. I'm not going to say commanding position, but he's in a very, very good spot right now. Because he's going to have a lot of crossbows out on the field. Crossbows are going to be coming in as well for Chart, but he seems like he's always one step ahead. So by the time he's going to have crossbows, his opponent is going to have mangonels. His opponent is going to have knights. His opponent is going to have monks as well. So if Chart wants to play with his own knights, his opponent already has the monks ready for that. Anyways, one knight over here could also cause a lot of chaos when it comes to picking off those feudal age skirmishers. No ballistics from either side. It looks like a Dragonstar will be playing on 2 TCs, so that is why he didn't sell all the 200 stone. He just sold 100, and then he's gonna be like, okay, you're running that way, whatever, run that way. I want to run towards your base, and that's exactly what he's doing. Chart not getting any siege weapons in right now, which is going to hurt so much because there's already 2 Celtic mangonels heading towards his base. First mangonel just coming in. And these crossbows, I assume they want to counterattack towards Dragonstar's base. But the only really weak point of the walls is this one. Like these 2 palisade tiles. This is strong over here, impossible to get through with archers. This can be rerolled very easily upon spotting the crossbows, and you should be able to spot them using the barracks. So there is little counterattack potential over here for Chart. Whereas he's getting pretty heavily pushed over here within his own base. Dragonstar will move out his mangonels upon seeing the mangonel popping out from his opponent. But look at that. That mangonel pops out on the wrong side, or at least it is the right side if you consider that you don't want to lose that mangonel to the knights. But it is the wrong side if you consider that you kind of want to keep that siege workshop alive, and that goes down very, very easily over here. Here's the counterattack, and as I said, Dragonstar is going to be able to spot this one. It remains to be seen if he has time to react to that, and there is, I think, no overchop there, right? Yeah, there is actually no over... Holy smokes. I think we just switched to Gaia's POV, but there is actually no opening over here. These diagonal trees are blocking that. And did I mention that this is one of the more dangerous spots? It looks like Dragonstar wasn't prepared for it. He could have made a market here, and then that would have blocked the crossbows from breaking in. Now he's going to settle with the defensive siege workshop. Chart moves out with his own mangonel to try and take a shot. And that's going to be a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. But one of the ranges already went down for Chart. And one thing that Chart isn't really able to do is just escape his own base anymore, whereas Dragonstar has a lot more freedom to move around, and there's going to be a Scorpion coming in here to clean this one up. No mangonel just now. A second siege workshop has to be rushed up by Chart, but I feel like even if Dragonstar is going to have some idle time on him here, he has 2 TCs protecting the key parts of his eco, whereas his opponent is actually losing one of the 2 town centers he is possessing at a very rapid pace, and by the time this mangonel pops out, I feel like this TC is going to be history. Now the crossbows popping out over here. Dragonstar getting some repairs in. Scorpion taking some nice shots. That's only 1 Scorpion, and indeed, as I said, Dragonstar is going to have to run for his TC. Loses 1 Voyager, loses 2. Other side of the map is, however, still 3 Celtic mangonels pushing. One of them trying to snipe the Voyagers that are repairing from the behind. There's a lot of wood in the bank for Chart, so he can keep that TC up for a long time. Dragonstar now focusing on that fight himself, so he looked away for a moment and almost lost that Scorpion. But while Chart is microing his mangonels on the front line over here, as he takes a decent hit on top of that mangonel, but it survives, he's unable to micro his units over here, so he can't really micro on the same position. That was a nice 1-for-2, I believe. So Chart holding on for a little longer, but obviously this is not really sustainable for him. Multiple mangonels taking down his DC, and the majority of his army is still over here, so those units will pretty much be useless, even though Dragonstar Scorpion is just pretty much chilling over here. These skirms and crossbows running around here could be a little bit annoying, but as I said, Dragonstar has key TCs everywhere on the crucial resources, which means that he can just jump into the TC and destroy this army. He may lose 1 or 2 villagers, but I feel like he's doing more damage to the opponent than he's actually sustaining. This is the who dies faster sort of scenario, as Crossbows run into the TC fire, same thing over here. Scorpion still trying to chase these down. There's once again 3 Mangonels out for Dragonstar. The idea here is that he's trying to pick off the Voyages that are repairing from the behind. And Chart actually started from something like 400, 500 wood in the bag. Now he's down to 100. So he's slowly running out of wood as he's forced to repair this one. Tries to break out of his base with a couple of sneaky Voyagers. And it seems like this will go unnoticed. But still, the majority of his eco is still over here. And as I said, I'm not sure how long he can keep repairing that. The TC archery range also went down over there. Sanctity coming in for Chart. I'm not sure if Redemption is available for Japanese. I'm honestly not sure. Still, that's actually a nice counterattack over here from Chart. Voyager count is still relatively close. Scorpion should be able to clean the majority of this one up over here, though. Wood count is very, very low now for Chart, though. I wish there was a statistics that actually told us how many resources were spent on repairs, because I think the Chart probably spent a solid 500 wood on repairing that TC. He kind of has to. And I would also like to point out that Chart's primary stone is over here. Oftentimes on this map, your stones are exposed, and this is a scenario like that as well. And one of the ways that you defeat a Mangonel rush like this is just making a defensive castle. But you don't make a defensive castle if you don't have stone. And as I said now, Chart is actually forced to buy wood, which is actually pretty expensive right now for him. This push is getting stalled out. In fact, Dragonstar will revolt this, so even these units won't be able to escape. In exchange, the lady will lose her life, very, very likely. But still, the Mangonels are slowly taking out that TC. And here's Redemption, so that is available, but that's a very late Redemption now. And I feel like at least one of these TCs will melt. It seems like Chart was able to break out and secure some other gold for himself because he's running out of his gold dangerously fast. In fact, he's running out of his wood dangerously fast at the back as well, and the rest of the wood lines can all be contested by Mangonels or crossbows. Mangonel moves in here for Chart. Now it's Redemption, but the thing is that you can just bring in your crossbows and pick off the monks over here, and there isn't really a lot of monks overall. Mangonel takes a shot, that's a 1-for-0 over there, and I feel like when these crossbows move in here, we might see a GG here from Chart. Indeed, that was a very, very aggro play once again from Dragonstar, but once again it worked out. He played super aggressive, but as much as I disliked the civilization that he has set for this map, it was the same situation as on Islands. It's not a civ that you commonly like on this map, but given the circumstances, the civ matchup, he has actually used his units and his civ to a near perfect use. So really, he played Celts the way that he should play Celts on this map, I believe, and the same applied for Mongols on the previous map. Once again, I'm not a fan of Celts on this map, I'm not a fan of Mongols on Islands, but I'm gonna give it to him. He was using these civs the way that they are meant to be used in situations where you're putting them into islands or bay like this. Anyways, Chart apparently has some tough moments over here, countering the aggro plays of his opponent. Now loses Japanese, and suddenly, after the first Arabia game, which was pretty dominant for him, Dragonstar is taking over, and Dragonstar is on a match point, loses Celts, and Dragonstar will be left with Mayans, Aztecs, and Teutons for Chart's home maps. Chart's second home map is Gold Rush, so it could be Aztecs, it could be Mayans. I think, other side, I think it's gonna be Tatars for the hills. So let's see if Dragonstar is going to do sort of a counter pick there, which could either be Aztecs or Mayans. Both of those are capable of doing nice things against Tatars. And we will be jumping into game number 4 over here. And we have a somewhat unconventional pick over here from Chart. Instead of Tatars, we are going to see, as I need to reconnect Capture Age, we are going to see Slavs. Now the thing is that Slavs could be pretty reasonable when it comes to like an early Monken Siege or Piken Siege push, and that's pretty common on this map. Tatars I think would have been a little bit more predictable, but I feel like Chart might actually think that this is his strongest civ, and he also wants to use it on this map where his opponent is already at match point. So I would have thought that Slavs will be reserved for hideout, but maybe Chart thinks, hey, if I don't win this game, I'm out of the tournament, so I might as well go for the civ I trust the most on this map, and that seems to be Slavs. Now the Eagle is going to try to chase that scout down. Remember that the Eagle in Dark Age is going to beat the scout in Dark Age, so Look at this Benny Hill-esque moment over here. All that chase happening. Other side will be a pretty standard Aztecs over here from Dragonstar, going for what seems to be a premium Rush FC over here for him. Little bit for lag spikes over here as we speed through the Dark Age. That sometimes happens, mainly because I'm using like ultra speed. So my fast forward is actually faster than the built-in fast forward in the game. And now we are going to slow down because Feudal Age is coming in here. Woes are coming in for Dragonstar. He is making the quick gate here as well. So he will be fully walled in a matter of moments, and there is nothing coming out of the barracks. So I wonder if this is just a barracks because he wants to go for what is basically a fast castle into either crossbows or potentially eagles. Maybe even Pike and Monk. I think against Slavs you probably play Monk and Siege or Pike and Siege instead of eagles or archers. Anyways, the left side of Dragonstar is still wide open over here. I'm not sure why he's not walling this. Don't tell me that he believes that this is closed. That would be very, very, very ambitious to believe. He put so many villagers on walling this side. Don't tell me that Dragonstar is going to leave this open. What is this? It's absolutely not obvious that this is closed. In fact, this should be more likely to be open than it is to be closed. I have absolutely no idea why he's thinking that that is closed. I have absolutely no idea. And if Chart plays this one smart, he's not going to show this to his opponent. Holy smokes, I think Dragonstar actually thinks that's closed. Because he put so many villagers on walling on this side. He sent like 4 villagers to wall his base off, and then makes a mistake like that, and I think now he realizes, hey, I'm actually open here. But his opponent is in Feudal Age already, which means that that scout can actually keep a hole open like that. Unless there's multiple villagers being pulled. Eventually, Dragonstar is going to be able to revolt that one, but that could have actually yielded some scary moments for him. That being said, this seems like 2 forward villagers, and oh, Dragonstar. What was the plan here? I think this villager actually had a weaker HP, or it might have been just the lions, but that lady is gonna die to the lion over there, and that lady is also going to be close to dying. I think she's going to survive thanks to the TC fire, but Dragonstar, like, let's say that this game didn't go the way he imagined it. I have no idea what he was up to overall on this game. Like, 2 forward villagers. I think he wants to go for a Monk and Siege push here, but like leaving this one open, there was so many questions, and it's kind of like going to Feudal Age. This wanted to be a fast castle, but it's turning into a slow castle over here, so I'm really not sure. Maybe forward barracks, forward range is something that he was imagining. That's something I can think about. It looks like Chart will actually try getting into the opponent's base here with scouts, but the hole closes just in time. Really, seconds separated Dragonstar from having a couple of scouts inside his eco. And now it is... is it sneaky towers? Probably not. Sneaky ranges? I have no idea what Dragonstar is playing, but that's what, like, one thing is sure. He's playing something definitely that is off meta. So what is he up to? Before getting the eco upgrades, I would have said he wanted to fast cast and go Pike and Siege push. I also don't understand why he actually went for the barracks if he didn't make anything. Maybe he wanted to bait his opponent to think that it is a Man-at-Arms play, or maybe he wanted to bait the opponent to think it's a Rush FC. I don't really know. And I see what the idea is. I think what he's assuming is that Chart is gonna wall his base like that, but this is gonna be an awfully huge failure. Like, Dragonstar is gonna be on the way to Castle Age, but this is gonna be an absolute Titanic unless Chart isn't checking the holes. If you ever play this game, please check for holes, because as big of a mistake as it would have been from Dragonstar to leave this hole open, this is also a huge one from Chart. And as I said, this would be a massive failure if there was a house here. If there was a house here, these archers never get into the base of Dragon or Chart, and you would have a bunch of villagers here that are useless, an archer range that's completely useless. This shouldn't have worked for Dragonstar, but it might actually work out because Chart actually messed up the walling over here. And Dragonstar knows that. Dragonstar knows exactly what's up. I think he even sees the blacksmith. Yeah, he knows that. So when you see the blacksmith and walls like this, you know that your opponent wanted to wall the edge of the map here. which means that Dragonstar knows there is no second layer behind, and this is very smart. He is trying to make sure that this hole remains open, but he's not actually using his eagle over there. And it looks like we'll have a preemptive longsword play here from Chart. So he's expecting fast castle eagles from his opponent, but reality is going to be archers. And as I said, if you are smart and you are Dragonstar, you wait here. You are not forced to push. That's extremely important. It's a tricky scenario because if you wait long or too long, your opponent will have TCs on key resources. But if you don't wait long enough, you won't have a lot of firepower and your opponent is going to have a chance to react. I think once you have like 5 crossbows, that's the time to move. And I also like that you pull in the villagers here because you might actually make a barracks or something like that inside the opponent's eco. There is crossbowman. Botkin is going to have to wait because the eco of Dragonstar can't really sustain it. And here is a monastery right at the back of the opponent's base, and Chart is going to be regretting not checking that hole. Oftentimes when I'm making, like, I was planning to make a couple of YouTube tutorials back in the days, and I'm still having plans for those, like for example about how to wall your base, and I was always struggling finding the expert games that were related to a certain topic I want to talk about, like for example checking for holes like this. So I will have to save this recorded game as a perfect example on why you always check for holes on your walls. Because if you don't do that, you can lose a game like this. This would have been an absolute disaster for Dragonstar if it wasn't for that hole. But there was a hole there, and now he's got crossbows in, he's gonna have monks, and what is his opponent having? He's having siege weapons, he's having knights, congratulations, both can be converted by the absolutely beastly Aztec monks, even though it's a little too sloppy from Dragonstar that he's venturing a little too deep on the opponent's base with those crossbows, and he might actually lose those, but here is the monk already, and redemption monks will just convert the siege weapons, will just convert the knights, and you are basically being destroyed from within. The knight got deleted before it could have been converted, and like, there's a couple of men-at-arms over here. I think that Chart was expecting eagles, but this is everything but an eagles play. TC coming up here to protect that gold mine, but crossbows once again could just dive in. And honestly, you shouldn't even care about that knight, even though you could potentially kill it because it's only +1 defense and no bloodlines. But you might just go run around and focus down the villagers. There is now a 2 villagers lead still for Chart over here. That is something that's definitely worth noting. So Dragonstar's TC idle time here is really meaning that he's unable to produce villagers, and that's the thing. That's the other thing I wanted to say, is that if your TC is idle, it doesn't matter how many villagers you kill, because your opponent will probably still have a better eco than you do. Still, villager idle time for Chart is up in the skies, so neither of these players have a great eco. But Dragonstar has 2 villagers on food. I'm not sure why these villagers are garrisoned inside here. In fact, I don't know what's happening here. No villagers on berries, no villagers on farms. I have no idea what Dragonstar was doing there. If he just sent his villagers to farms, he would have a very, very good food eco. I don't know what happened. I don't think anybody broke into his base, so I have absolutely no clue why Dragonstar isn't actually having villagers on food. Anyways, now it's a Mangonel coming in, and Mangonels and Redemption Monks will be insanely hard to fight against. Right now, those monks don't even have Sanctity, and I think that's an extremely important upgrade for Aztecs, so you definitely want to grab that. And really, like, it seems like Dragonstar is just making sure that, like, this is an absolute all-in push here. So really, it's all about, okay, I want to finish my opponent, but behind this one, he has an awful eco. So if this push stalls out for whatever reason, he's going to fall behind really badly. 666 is the army value for Chart over here, so he's summoning the devil himself to help out in this situation, and he might need the help of Devil, because apparently the help of God will be on the side of Dragonstar with those redemption monks. So still, I just don't like, why are you not sending 5 villagers here? You would be able to make villagers. I heard making villagers is a good thing. And the thing is that now Chart is going to move into the middle, but Gold Rush is always composed of 2 pieces. It's partially about, as look at that, Chart just tried to take the shot and then delete the Mangonel so he avoids getting converted. So Gold Rush is about 2 parts. You have to control the middle for gold, but you also have to, you know, save your original base. Otherwise, you will not have access to wood or food. And as bad as Dragonstar's food eco is, it's also very bad for Chart. So yeah, Dragonstar isn't making villagers, but neither is Chart anymore, because he doesn't have food eco either himself. So the thing is that, in fact, if Dragonstar actually added villagers to the berries and the farms, he would be able to just easily outboom his opponent over here. Right now he's 13 villagers behind. Once again, Redemption Monks coming in here, and the first one dies. Mangonel is gonna get deleted, but the Monk survives for the time being. The extra HP is helping immensely, obviously, as the Scorpions juke that Mangonel shot. However, as much as Dragonstar was able to melt the TC of Chart over here in a previous game, he seems like he's gonna be able to as well over here. And as I said, it's 3 villagers on food versus 2 villagers on food. That's basically the way that this game just plays out, or that this entire series, to be honest. Both players having absolutely junk ecos. Dragonstar is having an awful eco because he's focusing on so much on pushing the opponent that he's just unable to manage his eco. Whereas Chart is having an awful eco because he's too busy not dying, and he's just being pushed back more and more by his opponent. Now, that being said, Dragonstar lost at least one Mangonel over here to the opponent's Mangonel shot. That's going to be a 1-for-1 there as well. And it seems like crossbows will be pushing in this side as well, trying to deny that wood line. There is going to be a knight to clean that one up, and Redemption Monk is also going to die over here. Another one comes in here, and look at that, Mangonel has been converted, I believe, before it actually finished off the other Monk, and the other TC is about to die here as well, and there is enough crossbows to kill the villagers if the opportunity is given to them. Still only 2 villagers for Dragonstar on food. Look at this eco. He's like 22 villagers on this absolutely awful gold mine. If there was one knight over here, he would lose his entire eco. But Chart isn't able to bring in any knights over there to push that eco because, as I said, he's too busy not dying. And guess what? The Monk is going to survive a single shot. Well, the second shot is going to finish off the Monk over there. The TC is still standing, but Chart is out of wood. Chart is actually out of wood. And as bad as the eco is for Dragonstar, he at least has gold and wood income, whereas his opponent has only gold income, pretty much no food income. Now that's a big Mangonel shot, leveling a lot of those crossbows. Still, honestly, if you're Chart right now, what you are planning on is castle dropping the opponent, but nope, he's just saying, okay, I'm going to tap out here, and wishing good luck to his opponent. Dragonstar moving into uncharted territories with his game plan. I think he went for these super aggro plays, which is interesting because I think what I thought is going to happen is that he's going to try and play for the long games and try to use his deathmatch experience over here. I think this is also an upset because even though I don't have 100% confirmation, I think Chart was the higher seed in this one. Funnily enough, I think if Chart has seen these stats, he wouldn't have tapped out. He would have said, okay, I'm just going to mine stone and drop a cast on your face. The thing is that Chart didn't know that his opponent had one of the worst economies I've ever seen in competitive Age of Empires. If you have just one archer here for Chart, or one knight, whatever, I think he could have killed the entire eco of Dragonstar without Dragonstar noticing. Dragonstar has had this Voyager garrisoned inside this TC for the last 10 minutes in this game, and has had completely untouched farms. I think maybe at some point the scout ran into his base, he had to garrison the wheels, and then he absolutely forgot about everything else. But to me, the eco of Dragonstar here shows that I think Dragonstar hasn't looked at his base for the last 10 minutes game time. Still, the super aggro plays play out over here, and he is going to advance into the next round as sort of a surprise candidate over here, even though it wasn't clear Chart is going to win. But I think based on what you see in terms of execution, it is obvious why Chart was the higher seeded player. Mechanically, he's a much more skilled player. However, he is playing standard, and it seems like he wasn't really prepared for the aggro plays of Dragonstar. I think Dragonstar's best game by far was the Islands game. That was a near perfect execution for what he tried to do over there. This one was very sloppy, to be honest. So, if Dragonstar, if this hole wasn't there for Chart, this would have been an absolute failure, I would say, from Dragonstar, or at least it would have been much harder to push this one. And you also have to consider that, as I said, his eco was an absolute mess. Anyways, Dragonstar is advancing to the next round over here. Thank you so much once again for watching on YouTube, and hopefully you will stick around with the next qualifiers with me as well. As we only have a couple of qualifiers left from the round of 64s, which is great because round of 32s will be played already. In fact, one of the series I've already uploaded, as we will continue grinding all the Hidden Cup qualifiers on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.